Okay, I'll thank you. I'll mute.
Welcome to the September 14th, 2021 session of TangerineSDR Hamside technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I got a new camera and I'm trying it without a mic, without earphones. Hopefully, Dave, I turned it up a little bit, but it keeps turning itself down. So anyway, next on the list is Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Thank you, Dave. It's been a busy week. I have 2 out of my 3 TAPR presentations recorded. I'm going to try to record the last one tomorrow morning. I've been doing a number of items to the website, the Hamside website, updating that. So the last year's Hamside workshop page is all linked up properly with everyone's videos and PowerPoints. I started the shell for the new Hamside workshop page. I'm continuing to work with students and ham radio clubs and everything like that. So W2NAF, back to net.
Well, fine business. Sounds good. Next on the list is Bill, AB4EJ. Go ahead, Bill.
All right. Good evening, Dave. Good evening to the net. I'm back from vacation. I got my 2 DCC presentations recorded, uploaded, and I'm just now catching up on a few things after having been out for about a week, and very little else to report, but we'll get back on it tomorrow because we have the ISWAT meeting with Nathaniel, and then I got a meeting with my team, a telco meeting to get them going on the central control system. And we got a full complement of students back, and we're planning on doing a little demo of how we would use, and this is not until next year we're going to do this, but a little demo of how we would use big data compute techniques to analyze large swaths of the data coming from PSK and Whisper and RBM network. So back to net.
Well, fine business. And next on the list, we have Dave, KD0EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Hello. I hope you can hear me. I don't know, I had some confusion here, but I don't know, you all are so productive, have so many things. I'm getting the last of my presentation ready to upload, hopefully tomorrow early, and otherwise I'm not much. Seems like I don't get so much done anymore, but that's it. Leave it back to y'all.
Well, fine business. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I switched back to the microphone, the headset. Next on the list, we have Josh, KC3 PVE. Go ahead, Josh.
I think that's Dev, right?
Oh,
Dev
I'm
Joshi?
sorry, Dev.
This is me.
Yep, Dev Joshi.
Okay, thank you so much. So I've also recorded, I think already last week, my talk for the TAPR DCC. It will be only one talk for 15 minutes. That has been recorded, and I think Nathan helped me to debug some of my codes here. I was lost somewhere. He provided me some direction, and I think we have started the week in a positive note. Thank you.
Very good. And let's see, next on the list is Dave McGaw, N1HAC. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Well, other than work, I guess the big thing this week was got to the Hamvention, the Northeast ARRL convention, which went well. You know, people masked up and we were indoors, keeping separated, and good series of talks. You know, it was very nice to hear Phil Erickson Saturday night talking up Hamside, among other things. And though he was focusing on the WWV stuff. I guess since he's actively involved with that, but yeah, good time was had by all. Back to net.
Well, fine business. Next on the list is David Waugh, KE8 QEP. Go ahead, David.
A very little report here. I've been dealing with some power issues still. I'm been continued to be impressed with Jules' analysis of the RM31 magnetometer, and I always find his posts very humbling, as I could only hope to be able to do that kind of analysis. Back to net.
Well, fine business. Yes, we're all here to learn. Next on the list is Gary, AF8A. Go ahead, Gary.
Good evening, everyone. Not much here to report, but I just want to say it's good to see Hyoman in tonight. Hopefully you've gotten past your trials and tribulations with the hurricane, and hopefully that's all behind you. That's it. Back to net.
Fine business. And next on the list is Hyoman, KD2 MCR. Sorry, I got sidetracked there a minute.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks to Gary's comments. I am about to revise the magnetometer manual on the website, which is now public. I wasn't able to do so because I've been very much occupied. I moved in a new place, and then I got hit by the Hurricane Ida. My basement flooded a little bit, although there's no major damage, but it involves a lot of cleaning, simply because I put a lot of moving boxes because of my recent moving, and box and water do not get along with each other. So including my old photos. Well, my old photos are all wet. So anyways, I've been pretty much occupied with the cleaning and stuff, but thankfully there's no major damage. But yep, I've been sort of distracted by all this stuff. So I'm only like 3-week-old homeowner, and this is what I'm dealing with right now. So welcome to the homeowner world. Otherwise, yep, I'm preparing for the presentation for TAPR meeting. I'm looking forward to do that. Otherwise, there's no big update from my side. Back to net.
Well, fine business. Let's see. We've had a few people jump in there in the order shuffling. Let's call on Elizabeth. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. It's been quite some time. Update that I have is we're finishing up with our VLF4, and we ordered a Raspberry Pi and an ADC to start some testing after we finish our soldering the components on the board. So that's where we are right now.
Well, fine business. And next on the list is James, KG4 DSG. Go ahead, James.
Evening, Dave and the group. Don't really have anything to add here, so back to net.
Okay. And then next on the list is Joe, W7LUX. Go ahead.
Good evening, Dave, and the rest of the people. Very busy here getting ready for our full weekend 100-mile marathon that we support. So I haven't gotten much done on HAMSci. Back to you, Dave.
Fine business. And then next on the list is Jonathan, KC3EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. I was pretty busy this week. I ordered some antenna clamps that I wanted to test with my VLF active antenna. If it would work with the mass that I had in mind, the clips were the clamps works, the clamps worked really well. I got them from Newark. They were about $5 each. They support masts up to 2 inches, and they have jaws on them, and you could mount them pretty tight, and they work really well. I tested them with the active VLF antenna running. Everything ran perfectly. I also put the PVC fittings that I had purchased originally. I put everything together, and it was watertight as I planned, and the cables come out neatly through the cable gland. Everything there works really well. And I may have captured some amateur signal. There was a VLF amateur that was transmitting a carrier on 8.72 kilohertz, and I haven't had a chance to go through the data yet to see if I could pull out that carrier. I've also been working on my presentation. I'm excited for TAPR, especially excited for Phil Karn's presentation. And I've also started ordering and receiving some of the parts for my VLF loop receiver. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Well, fine business. And yes, they were busy getting ready for the DCC coming up Friday. Next on the list is Jules, K2KGJ. Go ahead, Jules.
Okay, is the audio good enough?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, this is a fairly busy week getting the DCC presentation done. Finally had to script it to get the timing right, but that worked. The rest of the time, other than housework, work on the outside of the house and so on, was spent doing some work on determining the innards, how the innards of the RM3100 worked. Here is a board with a bunch of test points that gave me scope access to each of the 3 axes of the magnetometer, as well as the enabler for the internal 50 megahertz clock. And so I was able to look at the actual timing of each of the channels, determine how they related to one another, how the averaging process worked timing wise, and so on. So that I put that information out to you, Dave, and also to Dave, yes. KD0AG and Human. I think I had Human on it, but at any rate, sent that out for whatever interest you might have. Unfortunately, in the process, I must have shorted a couple of leads because this guy is now dead. But while I was working, it allowed me to look at everything, including picking up the 180 kilohertz LR oscillator on a spectrum analyzer to verify that that was its essential frequency. I looked for the 45 megahertz clock, but haven't been able to pick that up yet. I'd have to put a preamp probably on the spectrum analyzer. It's down at least minus 100 dBm. So that's it for here, Dave. Go ahead.
Well, that's fine. You did some good work this week. It was very interesting reading the email. So quite informative, much better than the data sheets. Okay.
If we had that information originally, but it's probably buried somewhere in the engineering files. It's not something that they really need to release. Yes. You'd have to do reverse engineering on the chip to really figure it out. But we know enough to use it, and I think that's satisfactory.
Yes. Well, fine. Good job. Next on the list, we have John, KJ6 IBP. Go ahead, John.
John here.
Yeah,
I'm more or less here.
Go ahead.
I'm more or less here to listen and learn, and not so much to talk.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Next on the list is Michael, AA8K. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, thank you. Greetings to everyone listening. Back to you, Dave.
Fine business. And next on the list, we have Rob Robinette, AI6BN. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, I hope I'm not overmodulating anymore.
Nope, you're great.
Okay, well, I've already think I've taken more than my slot up here, but let's see. Apart from those efforts, I don't know if anyone here is coordinated or aware of the Whisper Beacon transmitting network that is being deployed, but I think that there's. Have you had any?
I heard about it from Ward Silver.
Yeah.
He gave a talk here 1 week.
Okay. Well, this is an effort. Well, there's a project underway that really seems to be funded by Roland HB9VQQ, and he's deploying about I don't know 20 transmitters around the world in areas that. Some of which have previously had almost nothing, like northern Siberia. There's a new beacon, and there's a new beacon in New Delhi where we haven't seen anything.
No.
So, and out in the Seychelles and a few other areas. So it seems to me a good idea that I wanted to encourage him to make sure that you're all aware that these are these beacons are coming online. And I think it's an effort that might be underway or useful to the rest of this, to the personal weather station efforts because of additional transmit sites. I think it needs to be. I think it needs some help, but it's a great idea. But I'm not sure that it's being implemented in a way that would deliver scientifically useful data and whisper spots. So anyway, I'd love to see Roland coordinate with someone. If you hear from them, him or Ward maybe is, or somebody, I don't know if anyone in this group is the appropriate person for Roland to contact. That would be, I think might be helpful because we, in terms of whisper stuff, we don't have a lot of transmitters. There's nobody, for example, down in the South Pacific, no transmitters, whisper transmitters in Tahiti or French Polynesia. So there's a whole bunch of regions where I think that it's a really good idea to support his effort or somehow coordinate or extend it to improve the coverage for path, various propagation paths. Anyway, that's my suggestion. And back to the group.
Well, thanks. That's a good suggestion. And I will mention that Scotty is on vacation this week. He actually is in Missouri, so with Dave and I, and he's over in the St. Louis area visiting his brother. But so next on the list is Tom in 5EG. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, good evening, Dave. It's been a learning week. What I've learned is another half dozen ways to make the Max 10 not work. So it's been tough. The experiment with Linux has failed. I finally traced it down to missing assembly code modules in the source tree and missing tags in the Git repository. And so I think I'm at a dead end of being able to try to build Linux for the Max 10. I tried to reverse engineer the binary and pull out the kernel symbol tables from the compressed tables. Those, it turned out, had been stripped out of that binary. So it was not possible to do any reverse engineering on it. And so about giving up and trying to use the hardware from that project. It's incompatible with some of the other tools that Altera has. And so I've been fighting a number of those without luck. This afternoon, I did manage to find the software that's supposed to come with the development kit. Previously, all those links were broken. All the documentation pointed to dead places. And somehow this afternoon, I found it and managed to download it. So I will start the next leg of this multi-legged journey. and see if I can get anything up and running on the darn board. So back to the group.
Tom, I have a question. Is there, if this runs dry, is there any hope of porting some of the open HPSDR code?
I suppose there is. I really don't know anything about Verilog. And so I'm probably the person not to ask that question of.
I mean, it was written for basically Cyclone 3s and 4s.
Yeah,
And I don't know how much different the Max 10 is from those.
it's quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Whether the Verilog compiler can figure all that out.
Yeah.
And make it do the right thing, could be.
I do know that they didn't write complete Ethernet libraries, but they did at one point support jumbo frames. And
Okay.
basically they took the stream of data, made a packet that was conformant to the protocol, and then shipped it.
Okay. Well, I did build the hardware file for the Linux machine, and it came out at about 38,000 logic elements out of 50,000 available.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't use that because it used a memory management unit, which is incompatible with the Altera drivers. And so I stripped out the memory management unit, stripped out all the instruction and data caches, stripped out the ADC controllers, and stripped out all kinds of stuff and got it down to about 30,000. Successfully built the skinny down version of it. And when I tried to build the Altera libraries, I got build failures related to the MAC address, which is different on the Cyclone than it is with the Max 10.
Right.
The Cyclone board's got a dedicated ROM that holds the MAC address for the board. That doesn't exist on the Max 10. And there's no automatic way to acquire a MAC address for the Max 10. And that's where all the libraries crashed, was wrapped around addressing this non-existent flash device on the Max 10. So I'm hopeful that I've got the development kit up and running with the pre-installed binary. And the instruction said, if you ever need to recreate that package, here's how, which of course was also a dead link. But I've managed to find, I think, the original source for that. So I brought that up and found an Altera OUI MAC address. And so I think I'm closer. It's probably going to be another couple of weeks of messing around, a couple of rabbit trails before, maybe we get something up and running.
Well, one last thing, Nathaniel sent me a message earlier that you have Chung back and he has a fair amount of experience with Verilog programming, although not in networking, but in just manipulating attached devices and things like that.
Yeah,
But
my hope would be that we can get enough of the NEOS processor-based networking stuff working, that we can then get the Verilog down to switching Ethernet packets between fast paths and slow paths, and doing all that. If we can do all that in Verilog, perhaps that will align with Kong's expertise.
Yes.
And if so, boy, that would be a great match.
So, Nathaniel, as for your question about meeting, it may be a good task for him to look into some of these issues.
That sounds really good. Did you see the times that he was asking for meeting?
I was not at home when I read the email, so I don't know exactly the times.
Okay.
Were they similar to, I think he had a class at the time we met last semester.
Yeah, so he was saying either Tuesdays or Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, I think,
Okay, well,
or,
I'll,
or was it 4 p.m. Eastern?
yeah, I'll look at those and then send a reply.
Okay, great.
And Tom, if you want to be in on that,
Okay, yeah, the Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern would be a challenge. Tuesday would work.
okay. And then we'll have to hear from Scotty.
Yeah.
Now, Scotty will be on, he'll be one of the hosts for the meeting, but he'll be doing it from St. Louis.
Okay,
So I've seen that, I've seen him say that online, so. Anyway. So we're at the end of our list, I believe. I don't think anybody's jumped in since that. And we're back up to 20 tonight, so that we're usually between 20 and 22. And so very good. So we're open for general discussion. Oh, Jim, did we miss you?
Yes, and I had some general discussion I wanted to bring up maybe.
Go ahead.
Do both at the same time. I got my grape one rat's nest on the operating table cleaned up a little bit and packaged kind of sort of. And I got it taking data yesterday, and I've run into some, or a couple of days ago, and I've run into some more problems. I'd wondered if anybody else had seen that. Occasionally, I think the Raspberry Pi is getting lost. I am not sure whether it was because of something I was doing or because of a power problem. I put it on a UPS this afternoon, and we'll see how that goes now. The first thing it did is somehow got a hosed up file from 913, but I'll see if I can resolve that. I was just wondering if anybody else had had any trouble with Raspberry Pi doing something like that.
I think, Joe.
You have a external hard drive or solid state drive?
No, the only memory on the thing at all is the micro SD card.
Okay, just wondering because I've had problems with external drives dropping the RPI due to current pulses, high current draw.
Yeah, there's one thing is that if you have an inexpensive micro SD, they will. I've had them lock up on the Pi lock up on me, so I've been using exclusively the Samsung EVO micro SDs in Pis, and that's been. I don't know that that's your problem, but that's I've encountered that. And once I switched to those Samsung, they're only $8 or $10. They're cheap, but they're a couple bucks more than the Kingstons or something that I was using before, micro SDs, and which were causing lockups. So that's.
I'll double check. I think I've got a Samsung in there, but I'll have to double check that. I'm not positive.
Yeah, it's pretty. They're remarkably reliable. I've got maybe a dozen of them running of my own, plus another 2 dozen at various sites that I maintain. And I've had just rock solid stability with them all. One other issue is you might check your power supply voltage. There can be transients, and I found the best way to measure that is to get a little measure the voltage on the output of the USB port, if the micro USB-A. So if you get a little one of these things, $5 USB voltage and power meters, and stick it on the port and adjust your power supply to be sure that if you have any accessories or something on the Pi that may be drawing more power, it could be pulling down your power supplies. I know that I use little variable power supplies, little 1 megahertz switchers, and I foolishly, I started by adjusting the voltage, to 5 volts or 5.1 volts with them unloaded. And when they're completely unloaded, they'd be 5.1 and they drop to 4.9 when they got any kind of load, put a 1 mega ohm on them or something and they drop. So the other thing is to check, you don't need one of these. You can do it other ways with a regular voltmeter, but I would check the power supply voltage. There can little glitches, and to be sure you have a beefy enough power supply to withstand the occasional transients that happen on these
Yeah,
PIs.
those USB voltage monitors are invaluable. I had one supply rated 5 volts at 2.5 amps. And at 2.5 amps, it had dropped down to about 4.5 or less.
Yeah.
It was very poorly regulated. No other way to know it, but it was causing trouble.
We have frequent power line drops in this area, and the only way I've been able to get real reliable operation is essentially a small UPS consisting of a lithium-ion battery with a little device from Adafruit. There are a couple of other things on the market as well you can use, but that has essentially totally isolated me from any power line drops.
Okay, those are good thoughts. Yeah, I do have one of those USB testers. I'll take a look at that. And I'm using the Walworth that came with the Raspberry Pi. The only other thing it's driving is the GPSDO. And so I'll check it and see where that is and what that looks like it's doing. And I put it on a commercial UPS this afternoon. So we'll see what that does. Appreciate the information. That's about it. Back to Ned.
Well, the net is open for general discussion. So if you have an idea or something you want to talk about, jump in.
Jim, one thing that I wanted to mention with my Raspberry Pi VLF SDR, all my VLF data is written to a USB stick. I have one of those compact SanDisk USB sticks, and it's a much better option than to continuously write to the SD card. Another option that I have used, other than the Samsung SD cards that Rob mentioned, were the SanDisk industrial SD cards that they're designed for lots of writes. They could withstand more writes than the standard SD card. But I would, if I were you, I would pipe all of your data, all of your recorded data to a USB stick.
I would warn you not to do that necessarily, because we tried to do that and they would hiccup. They would just decide not to take data for a while. And for our AM Doppler project, we had to go to actual solid state drives.
In my Whisper Daemon software, where I'm, recording, 8 bands continuously, I create a temp, RAM file system, and do all the writing to RAM disk, and then do the processing in RAM disk, and then write the results, which of course are much smaller amount of data, the spots, but also in our case with Whisper Daemon, the noise levels, background noise levels, that I do write to the micro SD, and I've had those running for years. So writing, a couple hundred kilobytes a minute to the micro SD, I haven't found to be a problem. But writing, let's see, it'd be 10 to 20 megabits per second of WAV files to that would have worn them out really quickly. So it's so easy to, if you're capturing a lot of data, it's so easy to create a RAM file system and put your data there. and you don't have to worry about wearing anything out or any timing glitches, because yeah, there's various kinds of deadlocks, or I don't know, they're deadlocks, but mutexes inside the kernel associated with disk IO, and you want to stay away from them if you can. And using a RAM file system for data, it works really well. Of course, you're limited on a Pi and how much data you RAM you can get. But if you have a little Linux file system, I have my servers, I put 192 gigabytes in them. So yeah, things hardly ever get written out to the rotating media or the solid state disk.
Okay, I appreciate good information.
David, how when you were writing to a USB stick, was that RF data?
No, this was actually very much reduced data. We do a double FFT and then write the data to we were writing to a USB stick, and it would just every now and then it would go out and take a powder and wouldn't take data for a while, and we were getting holes in our data.
Because since I'm writing audio files, and since Jim is writing an audio file from the sound card that he's using, I know I never had any sort of disk issues with writing VLF data. That's why that I figured Jim probably wouldn't have any issues either.
Yeah,
it's just audio.
Just to add something to the mix, in case anyone's ever curious, I doubt anyone would want to do it, but I think Dave Larson, KVOS, use some Pi 4 compute modules for some of our stuff. And they have eMMC, the ones we use have eMMC flash on them. And it's a good bit faster than any of the SD cards or anything like that. And probably as fast as going out, well, at least probably less burdened by complications than going out through a SATA interface, but you're not going to be able to write much data out that way. The biggest one I've got, what, 32 gig, I guess.
Yes.
But it's just, to do that, you have to use the module and a supporting board. But I've had good luck with ones from, what's that outfit in China? They're only $14. Anyway, just another option for people who want to experiment with stuff.
DF
Robot, yeah.
Yes.
DF Robot, yeah.
What's that name again? DF Robot?
Robot. But so you probably don't want to go that direction for the problem you have at present, because it's unlikely to be, other people I think are having reasonable results. Haven't heard that problem you're talking about. And I doubt many people are using these. These are the compute modules. They make them for the Pi 3s and the Pi 4s, and they're designed to be put inside of a TV set or something, and a complete, it's a whole different, it's the same CPUs and everything, run the same code.
I've found the ones that I have are very stable, but right now they're back ordered until early next year. Mostly. There's a few that leak through.
Yeah, I think some of the British outfits have some, but nobody else.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I will, I've got it on the UPS as of this afternoon. So we'll see how things run from here. That was the first thing I knew I needed to do. I meant to do it a while back and just hadn't found my round to it.
There's always lots of round to it.
Someone
found
gave me a
found
round to it once.
Yeah. So you could keep it on your desk to remind you.
I think I have it in a bag somewhere. Yeah, so I've got a round to it somewhere.
So Nathaniel, did you rustle up some folks to help monitor chat sessions and things?
You know, I sent the email out, but I never got a good response from it. So I don't have a strong showing. I should re-ping those people.
The ones, the two are to make sure that the people that ask questions both in the Zoom chat and in the YouTube chat, their questions get back to the authors.
Yeah. Let me re-ping these people.
And I do want to apologize to everybody that's already registered. We had some problems with our store and getting a decent message coming out. We have the same gang of people doing it this year as last year. But we will be sending out links. We've sent one link for people already, and then there will be one shortly before the meeting starts, so that you know where to go to check into this to the pitfalls.
Dave, I'm sorry, are those for the DCC TAPR conference links?
Yes, yes.
'Cause I think I have received about 10.
Ignore those.
Okay.
And there is one from John Ackerman that explained what all the problems were.
Okay. But I mean, I've received an enormous amount of.
They were
info.
auto-generated by the software running on the DCC store. And it wasn't set up correctly. And the person who set it up didn't really understand how Zoom worked. So we apologize for that.
Please, the invitations to open a Zoom account.
Yes.
Got it. That's what I figured.
Those have all been, all accounts that were established have been wiped out at this point.
So did you say there was going to be something else come out about
There
it?
will be a link. There has been a link sent out like Nathaniel does for his meetings. And there will be another one sent shortly, like the day before the meeting.
Okay, I'll be on the lookout for that. Thanks. Yeah, I just realized I don't have anything for that.
And we don't need to join their Zoom account. Can't we just follow the link?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm sorry for the confusion. It's just, we have lots of people and many of them are busy and not paying close attention. So it's eight people running things. But I think we have it lined up. We'll see how things go this week.
Yeah, hopefully it'll go smoothly. I think it will.
Well, you've been through the second iteration of your ham size, so
yeah,
kind of most things are familiar, and then a few things different.
I haven't received or found the directions to register and get
The
into
register is on the TAPR store.
Okay.
And the way it works is the membership to TAPR is $30, and the the cost of the meeting is $30. So if you pay one or the other, you get the other one free. So
I
for
need to
one-
renew. I need to
one-
renew mine anyway. Okay.
One $30 gives you a year's membership and access to the DCC.
Good. Okay. I'll do that before this weekend.
And I think the website's been fixed. I'm not actually, I am a board member. So on our meeting here, Scotty and I are board members. And, but I've never actually touched the inside of the TAPR store. That's another board member does that. So. Well, are we running out of questions or discussions?
I know I still have another, what do you call it? Another presentation to record.
Well. I guess if nobody else has anything else to say, we can dismiss.
Yeah. Actually, let's see. Maybe Rob and Bill Engelke, would you have a couple minutes to go to a different Zoom link after this to just have a little bit of a chat? Because I don't know. It seems like we're both here. We're all here.
Okay. I'm available. Let's go do it.
Would you be good for that, Bill? Okay. I'll email you both another Zoom link, and we'll hop on that one. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong with this one. It seems like everybody else is falling asleep and getting ready to go QRT. So
we can do that too.
We do have Jay that just showed up, but
Oh, no, I've been here for a half an hour.
you just had your screen
I was
muted.
just sitting quiet in the background.
Okay.
Question for the agenda for the program for the DCC. Is that on the website?
It is on the website, and people who have registered should have gotten a link to it.
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
It should be there now. So you can see the talks, the times. It is adjusted. I do know as of today, a couple of the talks shifted.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I
be
got it
aware
now.
that they may change during this week. We still have a few people who are giving talks who have not replied.
Okay.
I mean, they signed up, but then they haven't said anything. And what'll be the real test is whether they post a video or not.
Got it. So, all right, we're good. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Okay.
Oh, and thank you, Jay, for the comment.
Oh, you're most welcome. Yeah, you earned it, guy. Righteous style.
Thank you.
Dave, I've got a question.
Which Dave? Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I noticed some of the talks in the agenda are listed as proceedings, which I assume that their paper was submitted. I don't remember what was done last year. Are they going to send out printed proceedings?
They aren't going to send them out, but they're available on Lulu.
Oh, okay.
For $4 and about $5 shipping. So I have mine already, but they
Okay.
are there. And so that's, if you want the printed ones to be able to read them.
That's that. They do that last year. That sounds familiar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except it was $20 last year. It's gone down
It's gone down. Okay.
half price. And that was not because of us, but because of Lulu. The reason there were 90 pages in the proceedings, and the reason that not every, it's optional for each author, whether they want to write a paper or not. So
It's nice to have them is why I'm asking. So,
a lot of academics will go ahead and do it because they're used to it.
okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yep. But you can, if you go on Lulu and search for DCC, TAPR DCC 2021, you should be able to find the link to order it. And it took about 3 days. Comes from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So, Nathaniel, so should we just close the meeting and then the three of you guys can finish?
I think that probably makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Good. 73.
Thanks,
73
everyone.
guys. See you next
73.
week.
Take care. Have a
See
good
you
one.
Friday.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.